My mother-in-law, 58, female, is insane. I had always had an underlying suspicion that there was something wrong with her, but with what she has pulled off, there can be no doubt about the fact that there is something seriously wrong with her. And she needs to stay as far away from people as possible. She might have had a tough life, with her husband leaving her for his affair partner and her having to raise 3 children all on her own, but that still doesn't justify her behavior, especially not now. Mother-in-law has 3 children, 2 sons, Arthur, 38, male, Aaron, my husband, 32, male, and Tiffany, 28, female. Aaron is married to Genevieve, Jen, 36, female, and Tiffany is married to Sam, 32, male. We're all close that none of us are hostile to each other, talk and meet up regularly and keep ourselves updated about each other. We don't have that modern family closeness, and none of us actually aspire to be that close, so that works for us. The issue is my mother-in-law. She loves her sons a little too much. It's smothering what she does. And Tiffany is treated like a legit outsider by her. The difference in treatment is visible to anyone with eyes. Tiff herself is desensitized to it, and her brothers make sure they compensate and take her stand whenever required. They say that it has always been this way, and over the years they have learned to navigate the situation on their own terms. I don't butt in, because at the end of the day, she's their mother and they would know how to deal with her best. The family dynamics are pretty peculiar. Arthur and Jen are child-free. Despite multiple interventions and convincing on mother-in-law's end, both of them have stayed firm on their decision. It used to be a huge ruckus in the family, with mother-in-law begging them to give her grandkids. It was actually quite embarrassing to watch, and despite them telling her that it was a personal decision and her inputs were not welcome, she persisted. It finally took them the threat of no contact for her to stop badgering them. And even after that, she didn't completely give up. Up until recently, we get a few stray comments thrown here and there regarding the same. And she was so insistent with them because she absolutely adores Jen. Jen is like the daughter she never had. Yep, she has actually said those words, and that too in front of Tiffany. Jen is consistently weirded out by mother-in-law, but doesn't really say much except a few sarcastic comments here and there, which mother-in-law is too slow to pick up on. On the contrary, mother-in-law despises me. She has ever since Aaron and I started dating. I remember that she had a scowl on her face the entire time I was at her place when Aaron had got me home for the first time. I found a lot of support in both Jen and Tiff, so I am very grateful for them. The good part, I think, is that mother-in-law makes her disdain for me very apparent. She pulled the classic, "I'm going to wear white for my son's wedding day" on our wedding, and had to be threatened before she changed into something sober. She feels I'm not good enough for Aaron, which is quite weird and borderline creepy, because who behaves this way in this day and age? Anyway, there's always been a bit of bad blood between us, and with the little stunt that she pulled off at the wedding, it's become a little easier for me. It's better that way, I believe, because now at least I don't have to convince 10 different people that she hates me. For them to say that it is all in my head, it isn't. And everyone knows it. Because now at least I don't have to convince 10 different people that she hates me for them to say that it's all in my head. It isn't. And everyone knows it. She was given quite a few earfuls after the wedding by all her kids, and she tried to victimize her way out of the situation, but nobody fell for it. I honestly didn't really care much about her. If she wanted to wear white and make an ass of herself, she was more than welcome. I don't let stupid shit bother me, and I genuinely feel we did her a favor by getting her to change that damn dress. Or she would have been ridiculed by people for the rest of her life. Her behavior is problematic, but I suck it up for a variety of reasons. The first being that if I show exactly how affected I am, Aaron will give her the boot that very minute. I don't want that, because she may be nasty to me, but she is still his mother and has raised him in considerable difficulty. Secondly, the only place the entire family generally congregates is at hers, and I don't want to miss out on that. I enjoy hanging out with the family, minus her, and I am too thick-skinned to be really bothered by her. And that's what makes it fun. She absolutely hates that she's unable to get under my nerves, and that gives me a solid sense of smug satisfaction, so technically it's a win. However, what I thought was simple irritation and dislike was actually something much more problematic and deeper. Mother-in-law was festering a resentment inside her for so long, and it just burst out a few days ago with no warning. She thought that she had been clever with it, but unfortunately for her, she is now thoroughly screwed and no one is going to help her out. Erin and I are expecting, and since this is our first kid, we are very excited about it and couldn't wait to share the news with the family. This year, Tiff was hosting Christmas and I asked her if we could make the announcement there. She was overjoyed and of course allowed me to announce there. Both Erin and I were very excited, but what happened there was the complete opposite of what we were expecting. We had planned to actually announce after dinner, but Tiffany was being so weird. Excited weird, not bad weird. I knew she would spill the beans if we didn't do it ourselves, so we decided to do it before dinner itself. We gathered everyone around and broke the news. And everyone was overjoyed. Everyone except mother-in-law. Jen leapt across the table to hug me. The boys gathered together to congratulate Erin. In this entire chaos, I could see that mother-in-law looked really salty, but I was too happy to care. Moreover, she wasn't even the one hosting, so I didn't have to pander to her emotions. I think her reaction bugged Aaron, which is understandable, so he went to talk to her. I didn't know what they were talking about, but we could all sense that there was a heated exchange between the two of them. She didn't congratulate me, and I don't think she congratulated Aaron either. Even if she did, I'm the mother, and she didn't even talk to me after that. The mood was a little ruined, and I wanted to make an issue out of it later, but I didn't get the opportunity. Because she ended up doing something that was so much worse than not congratulating me. An hour after dinner, all of us were sitting and chatting. Suddenly, Aaron gets up and complains that he is feeling uneasy. I thought it was gas, so I told him to walk a little and eat a digestive. 10 minutes later, he reiterated that he is feeling very uneasy and that he needs to be taken to a doctor. I honestly thought it wasn't that big of a deal, which was a horrible way of dealing with things, but mother-in-law was prompt on her feet and said that we needed to take him. Arthur drove and mother-in-law and I went with Aaron. He was getting progressively worse on the way, and that was when I started getting really scared. He didn't seem like himself at all, and the way he was behaving, I just hoped it wasn't a heart attack. We rushed him to emergency, and around 45 minutes later, the doctor comes and tells us that he has been poisoned. I couldn't believe it, honestly, because why would Tiffany poison him? We had all had the same food. I thought maybe it was something that he had eaten before coming for the dinner, but the doctor insisted the poison was ingested within the last 3 to 4 hours. I was too stunned to speak and couldn't really point a finger at anyone. The doctor said that since it was a case of poisoning, it was a medico-legal matter now, and that they would have to inform the police. That was when mother-in-law took over, and I was thankful for her intervention at the moment because I felt that she was helping me out. Little did I know that she had sinister plans. Arthur stayed back with me and informed the rest at home, while mother-in-law took care of hospital formalities. The doctor said that Aaron would have to be kept under observation for the night. I wanted to stay back with him, but mother-in-law and Arthur insisted that I go back, given my condition. I resisted, but ultimately understood that it was better for me to sleep because I'd have to care for him when he came back. At home, everyone was panicked. Before I even had a chance to explain to everyone what had happened, we had a knock on the door. It was the police. And they just cuffed me and said that I was under arrest for the attempted murder of Aaron Jenkins. I looked at them as if they were insane, but they didn't let me speak, and mother-in-law was the one yelling, "It's her! It's her!" I just couldn't make sense of anything. I think during this time Sam wasn't in the room, and he came running and yelled something like, "You've got the wrong person." I don't even remember the exact details. It all happened so fast, and there was so much going on anyway. The next thing I remember is that I was being uncuffed and Jen took me aside and mother-in-law and Tiffany were screaming at each other. The police then escorted mother-in-law out. A few minutes later, Sam told me what had happened. While we were in the hospital, Tiff and Sam suddenly remembered that their video camera was still running. Tiff wanted it to be a surprise for us. When I had told her that I would be making the announcement, she decided to record it so that we would have the memory of that day. But given mother-in-law's shitty reaction to the news and Aaron and mother-in-law's little altercation, the video camera was forgotten and it kept on running, thankfully, while waiting for us to return. They checked the recording and the video captured mother-in-law spiking Aaron's food with something. I don't think she had known about the camera, or else she wouldn't have made such a stupid mistake. Initially, Tiff and Sam thought that it was some kind of sauce or something that might have added to his food. That was the most logical thing they could think of, and I don't blame them. It was only when these guys were informed that this was a case of poisoning that they started giving weight to the probability that it could have been poison that was added. Yet they weren't willing to believe it because it made no sense, and she had no motive to do it. Both of them had decided that they would corner mother-in-law and get her to admit her guilt, but before they had the chance, the police came barging in. When it was me that the police went after, they knew that they had to tell them the truth before any false arrest was made. In the ruckus that followed, it was revealed that it was mother-in-law who had said that I was the one that was guilty, and that it was me who had spiked his food. She claimed to have seen me do it. That's what she had said to the officers who had come to arrest me. I am assuming that was what she must have told the doctor also when she took him aside to talk to him. I recall that the doctor looked at me weirdly, and since he was talking about it being a medico-legal case, I can fairly guess that he was the one who reached out to the police. I honestly felt like I would vomit. I couldn't believe all that had happened in the last few hours. I had a poisoned husband in the hospital. I was pregnant, and my mother-in-law had poisoned her own son and tried to frame me for the crime. And God alone knows why. There was absolutely no reason for her to be behaving this way. I asked Jen to call up Arthur and tell him what had happened because he was the only one who didn't know what had happened, and I knew she would call him to bail her out and instigate him against me. Jen told me she had it covered. I wanted to go back home, but they insisted that I stay with them because I wasn't in a condition to travel. That part was true. And they didn't want to leave me alone. Jen stayed back and stayed up with me the entire night. I couldn't sleep a wink. All that I could think about was why she would do this to me. What was going to happen now? And most importantly, what would I tell Aaron when he got released? He has known that his mother is problematic, and he has even berated her for her behavior a couple of times. But to know that she poisoned him would be too much for him to handle. I stayed up, thinking, crying, throwing up the entire night. Aaron came back with Arthur the next day, and we decided not to tell him what had happened. I don't know if I've taken the right decision or not. And now the time has come to actually tell him what had happened, and I am shitting my pants. I don't want to disappoint him, and I don't want to break his heart. Mother-in-law is still in jail, and he has been asking for her. We've been deflecting the question for quite some time now. But it's high time he knows what really happened. I don't know what his reaction is going to be, and I want to do it alone and not with the family. I have a copy of the video recording, and will keep it for proof. If need be, the family will be involved. I hope it doesn't come to that, but if it does, I am prepared, at least intellectually. Emotionally, I'm a mess, and I know all this stress is not good for me or the baby, but I don't see any other way out of this mess. Update 1. This will be a rather long update because things haven't really gone down well. I had decided that I would tell Aaron everything and not hide anything from him. I had an entire speech prepared with pointers and everything. Yes, I was that nervous. Don't judge me. I sat him down and said that there was something he needed to know about mother-in-law. At first he assumed the worst. He felt that there was something wrong with her as well, and we had been hiding a medical condition or emergency from him. Honestly, when I saw the panic and sincerity in his voice, I couldn't help but wonder how hard his heart was going to break when he realized the truth. I told him that no, there was no medical condition that we were hiding, but something else. I then didn't say anything and showed him the video. He looked at it once, then did a rewind and looked at it again. My heart was racing because he had absolutely no expression on his face, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out what he was thinking. He got up, drank some water, and watched the video again, and when he was done, he said he didn't understand what was happening. I held his hand and asked him what he saw. He said that he saw Mom add some kind of sauce to his food for flavor. It broke my heart. It was clearly evident that what she was adding wasn't a sauce. He watched the entire thing 3 times, but obviously he didn't want to believe what he was seeing. I told him that it wasn't sauce but poison, which is why he had to stay in the hospital. He just broke down crying. In all my years of knowing him, I have never seen him sob like that. I held him and let him cry. I was dreading telling him what else happened, how she tried to implicate me, and I honestly felt it would be best if I didn't tell him at all. But I had promised myself and him that I would tell him everything. And it would have been wrong if he were the only one in the family who didn't know the entirety of what happened when he was the one most affected. Once he had calmed down a little, I told him what she had tried to pull off at home. I told him that I didn't want to burden him with this information, but because all of this happened in front of the entire family, except Arthur, and I'm sure Jan would have told him anyway, and I didn't want him to be the only one who didn't know what had happened. I was almost certain that she had told the doctor that I was the one who poisoned him, and it was the doctor who sent the cops home, because I hadn't seen her make a call to anyone. I then explained exactly what happened when she had come, how Sam came in the nick of time to help me. Otherwise, she would have ensured I go to jail for something that she had done. As expected, Aaron was in shock and couldn't say anything, and I know he was furious. The entire sorrow of being poisoned by his own mother went out the window when he realized that she had endangered me, and by extension, our baby. He was filled with rage and said he wanted to talk to her. I told him that she was still in prison because nobody had agreed to bail her out before they got his consent. The seriousness of the crime wasn't that great because what was administered to Erin was not a lethal dose. So there is a high possibility she would get bail. Erin said he just wanted to talk to her and understand why she would pull something like that. He said it made no sense at all, especially after so many years of us being together. I reminded him that she had always been hostile and passive-aggressive towards me. So this little stunt of hers cannot be seen as completely out of the blue. But again, not liking me and wearing white to the wedding is multiple leagues below poisoning your own son and implicating his pregnant wife. Erin believes that this behavior of hers is so beyond the realm of possibility that there needs to be a mental health evaluation for her. I don't agree with it, but I don't want to discount him, so I said, okay. He has been on his phone all day talking to Arthur and Tiff, and they're going to figure something out between themselves. I asked him not to involve me much because I have been stressed out as it is, and I don't want anything to harm the baby. I will be there to support him if he needs that, but I'm kind of done with his mom for the meantime at least. He understood my position, so I'm off the hook, so to say. However, I am still worried because I don't want that woman near me or my baby, and to be frank, near Erin as well. I can't believe how he is willing to give her a second chance, knowing fully well that she poisoned him. Had I been in his shoes, I would have never spoken to her again. She is a fully functioning adult, so chalking it up to some mental health issue trivializes the magnitude of what she has done. But I know better than to intervene right now. He needs to have his peace, so I'm going to let it be for now. And I am damn sure that there is no way in hell that there is anything wrong with her. She's just a vindictive little bitch who can't stand not being the center of attention anymore. And when that comes to light, which I am sure it will, I will go scorched earth and make sure she doesn't lay a hand on my family ever again. Update 2. The little intervention between Erin, Arthur, Tiff and mother-in-law went as I expected. LOL. I'm sorry for updating so late. I hadn't realized this post would garner so much attention. I've been dealing with terrible morning sickness and the mother-in-law drama just doesn't seem to end, so I've been occupied. Things have gotten worse since the last time I posted. I won't say that I didn't see it coming, because I did, from miles away. But now finally everything is out in the open, and I can breathe a sigh of relief because I am safe. And things can only get better from this point on. Arthur, Erin and Tiff got mother-in-law bailed out and sat her down to ask her why she did what she did. Arthur also made it abundantly clear that the only reason Tiff and he were there was that Erin wanted her out, and if it were left to them, they would let her rot in jail forever. At first, she denied doing anything and insisted that I had paid Tiff to doctor the videos. At that point, Erin realized she was unsafe and that there probably wasn't anything wrong with her. He told her he wanted a psychiatric evaluation done and that he would speak to her only when that was done. She was reluctant, but they left her no choice. To no one's surprise, she was all okay. There are no underlying issues that would cause her to behave this way, in the sense that cause her to mistake poison for sauce and spike someone's food with it. The three then cornered her again and asked her what was up and why she did what she did. She broke down completely and said that this was her last chance to save her son from me. And she didn't want us to start a family. Erin was shocked. He said she had always wanted grandchildren, and now that she was finally going to get one, she was behaving this way. She said she never liked me, and she knew that I was not the right choice for him. which is why, if he started a family with me, there was no way that she could get the family rid of me. She was talking as if she was doing Aaron a favor. By that point, Aaron had had it with her. He said she was no longer welcome in our lives and that we won't be talking to her again. He also said she would not be part of our baby's life. We have since gone completely no contact and also have a restraining order in place. Just in case she tries to pull something off, we need to be prepared. Aaron has not taken it well. I try not to be too smug about it, but I always knew she was driven by hate. All the rest have cut her off as well. They say they don't want anything to do with her. She has somehow found a way to still deflect the blame to me in all of this. I can't say I'm surprised. She is a woman who poisoned her own son to prove a point, so she can do anything. I'm glad, however, thanks to Tiffany and Sam, we got to know the reality of what really happened. Thanks to mother-in-law's own stupidity, we now know her for the disgusting snake that she is, and I can save my baby from her. I am more than 100% sure that she would have tried something with the baby to drive a wedge between Aaron and me. And I swear to God, if she did that, I would have killed her with my bare hands. She can hate me all she wants, but she doesn't get to touch my family. Update 3. Mother-in-law violated her restraining order. She sent a mail to Aaron, claiming that she was sure I had cheated on him and that the baby was not his, which is why she had tried to intervene all those months ago. And for that, she poisoned her own son? Make it make sense, bitch. Thankfully, Aaron has not paid heed to her mail and asked Tiff to inform her that if she violates the order once again, he is going to make sure she ends up in prison. She has been sending texts and emails to the others to convince them that somehow I am the villain in this entire story. But nobody pays any attention to her. That's all the update on the mother-in-law front. As for me, I am now 5 months along, and Aaron and I have started planning for the nursery. The morning sickness was a beast for a little over the first trimester, but it has gotten much better now. The baby is healthy, and in our next ultrasound, the doctor will tell us the gender. The entire family, except mother-in-law, is very excited. This will also be my last update because firstly, I am going to get very busy now with the baby coming, and secondly, I don't want to carry this part of my past into the future. What Aaron and I have gone through in the last couple of months has been nothing short of harrowing, and we need to start afresh for the sake of our baby. Thanks for being a good venting space, and thanks for all your advice. I hope I do not get to use this app again. I don't want such adverse situations in life ever again. One insane mother-in-law who poisons her own son is enough to last us a lifetime. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.